Overseas tonight, and a Russian anti-aircraft system now suspected of causing the deadly Christmas Day plane crash in Kazakhstan. And this new video of the plane flying erratically seconds before descending and then bursting into flames. 38 people killed, but dozens surviving the disaster.
착륙한 뒤 활주로를 이탈해 중앙 담장 끝까지가 폭발했다고 합니다. 다시 한번 전해드리겠습니다. 오늘 오전 9시 10분쯤 전남 무안공항에
We begin with breaking news. A fiery plane crash in South Korea, killing 179 people, leaving just 2 survivors. Witness video shows the moment the Jeju Airjet skidded across the runway earlier today, unable to stop itself. It exploded at the end of the runway, killing nearly everyone on board. Now, before the crash, a passenger sent this text message to a friend. "Wait a minute, we can't land because a bird or birds caught in our wing." "Since when?" the friend says. "Just now."
Should I leave my last words? The passenger responds.
A large section of the Embraer 190 fuselage still intact. A shocked survivor stumbling out, still on his feet, as others rush past into the wreckage to rescue more passengers.
Flight took off from Baku, Azerbaijan early this morning, bound for the Chechen capital of Grozny in southern Russia. Russian state media said the aircraft was diverted due to fog. The site Flight Radar 24's tracking data showed the plane making a figure 8 near the airport in Kazakhstan, then sharply gaining and losing altitude in the final minutes before impact.
Explored different scenarios of how this plane crash might have occurred, while the Russian reported that it was struck by a bird, which could have caused engine failure. However, there are also several other reports suggesting that the plane was hit by a Russian Panzer missile system, supported by video evidence, all in the video ahead. Azerbaijan Airlines Flight J28243 was en route from the Azerbaijani capital, Baku, to Grozny, the capital of the Chechen Republic in Russia, when it encountered a critical situation mid-flight. The aircraft was forced to make an emergency landing approximately 3 kilometers, which is around 1.8 miles away from Aktau, a city located on the eastern shore of the Caspian Sea in Kazakhstan. The incident resulted in the plane crashing on the opposite shore of the Caspian Sea after what was described as an emergency maneuver. The nearest Russian airport along the plane's intended flight path, located in Makhachkala, the capital of Dagestan. The Embraer E-Jet family is a narrow-body, short to medium-range, twin-engine jet airliners with 114 seats, designed and produced by Brazilian aerospace manufacturer Embraer. Let's take a look at 2 scenarios of what happened to this plane crash. In Scenario 1, the Russian authorities claim that the plane was struck by a bird. This alleged bird strike caused an engine explosion, which severely damaged the plane's hydraulic systems. The loss of hydraulic fluid rendered the aircraft unable to maintain altitude, resulting in a steep descent and ultimately leading to the crash. In Scenario 2, we have a detailed timeline. At 10:43 a.m. Kazakh time, which is 5:43 GMT, Russia's Rostov Air Traffic Control Center received a signal indicating that the crew had decided to divert the flight to Aktau due to adverse weather conditions in Baku and Makhachkala, a city in Russia's Dagestan region. At 10:53 a.m., the Rostov flight director informed Aktau's flight manager that an oxygen tank in the passenger cabin had exploded. This explosion reportedly caused passengers to lose consciousness, prompting the crew to request immediate medical assistance upon landing. Emergency teams were swiftly mobilized at Aktau Airport in preparation for the aircraft's arrival. At 11:02 a.m., the pilots made contact with Aktau Airport's air traffic control tower. Despite their efforts, the crew faced significant challenges during their descent. They attempted to land twice but were unable to maintain altitude or stabilize the aircraft. Tragically, at 11:28 a.m., Contact with the crew was lost, and moments later, the plane crashed to the ground. This means the plane was hit between 10:30 to 10:53 a.m. Kazakh time by the Russian anti-air defense system. The Panzer Air Defense System's radar scans the surrounding airspace, continuously detecting and identifying potential threats, such as this Embraer E-jet. Once a target is identified, the system initiates tracking using its integrated radar and optical sensors. These components work together to calculate the target's trajectory, speed, and other critical engagement parameters necessary for interception. Based on the target's range, speed, and altitude, the Panzer system determines the most effective response, whether to launch a missile or engage with its high-speed autocannons. In this scenario, the plane is flying at a significantly higher altitude, rendering the cannons ineffective. Consequently, the system opts to deploy a missile as the optimal weapon for engagement. The missile is launched vertically from its sealed canister. It uses its advanced onboard guidance system to navigate with precision towards the designated target. As the missile approaches, its onboard sensors continue to track the civilian aircraft, which in this case is tragically identified as an Azerbaijani civilian aircraft. The missile carries a 25-kilogram high-explosive warhead. Upon reaching the target, the warhead detonates, releasing an intense explosion. The explosion occurs near the side of the aircraft, causing catastrophic damage to its tail section. The resultant shrapnel penetrates the fuselage, inflicting severe internal structural damage. This devastating impact destabilizes the aircraft, leading to an uncontrollable descent. The severely damaged plane crashes near Aktau Airport, resulting in a tragic loss of life and a devastating outcome for all those on board. This Russian Panzer has been very successful in Ukraine in taking out drones that resemble Cessna aircraft. The Panzer is equipped with two armaments, a missile system and a 30mm gun. This is the UG-22 drone that can carry 82mm mortar rounds that the Russian mistook for the Azerbaijani plane. When this Cessna-like drone enters Russian territory, the Panzer's radar tracks it and selects the missile option to launch and destroy the drone as it flies at a very high altitude. The Panzer missile and gun system crews are responsible for monitoring and securing the airspace in designated areas, typically a few kilometers from populated regions, to ensure the safety of civilians. Once a target is detected, the Panzer system tracks and destroys it at a range of up to 20 kilometers before relocating. Since the beginning of the operation, Russian Panzer missile defense systems have reportedly destroyed more than 400 drones and numerous military aircraft. As we examine the damage caused by the air defense missile strike on the Embraer 190, it's important to note that the tail section of the aircraft was found upside down in the field. This perspective allows us to observe the left side of the vertical fin and the left side of the rudder, both of which are constructed using composite materials. Visible on the left side of the aircraft are the entry wounds caused by the missile's shrapnel. Correspondingly, exit wounds can be observed on the right side of the vertical fin and rudder, indicating the trajectory of the shrapnel as it passed through the structure. These missiles are equipped with proximity fuses, designed to detonate the warhead when the missile is near its target. Upon detonation, the warhead releases a barrage of shrapnel that penetrates the side of the aircraft. This type of damage is particularly devastating as the shrapnel often severs critical hydraulic lines and other essential systems. Here we can clearly see the shrapnel impact on the left side of the vertical fin, where it entered the aircraft, causing catastrophic damage that likely contributed to the loss of control. Here you can see the damage penetrating the right portion of the rudder. This is the exit hole of the shrapnels, where the damage departed from the composite structure of the rudder. Next, he moves into the vertical fin portion, and here you can clearly see the shrapnel exiting through the aluminum structure of the vertical fin. Now you're looking at the top of the fuselage, right here where his hand is positioned. This area is on the right side of the vertical fin, showing how the shrapnel tore straight through it.
Tonight, mounting questions for the Kremlin about what may have caused the Christmas Day crash of Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243. The commercial jet taking off on Wednesday morning from Baku, the Azerbaijani capital, en route to Grozny, capital of Russia's Chechnya Republic. New video showing the plane flying erratically, rapidly losing and regaining altitude. The plane's wing visibly damaged before crashing near Aktau, a city in Kazakhstan across the Caspian Sea. Of the 67 people from 4 different countries on board, 38, including both pilots, were killed. Miraculously, 29 survived, some pulled from the wreckage, others appearing to walk away unharmed. Local officials initially suggested the crash was caused by a bird strike, but a U.S. official casting doubt on that narrative, telling ABC News there are early indications that the plane may have been hit by a Russian anti-aircraft system, prompting comparisons to the 2014 downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17, which an investigation
Later determined was shot down by Russian forces in Ukraine. Kremlin saying this morning it would be wrong to speculate before the investigation is complete.
There are lots of indicators to point towards a shoot down of that aircraft.
I spoke with Andrew Nicholson, who runs Osprey, a company that advises carriers flying in the region. He pointed to images of the plane's wreckage that appear to show what he says is damage consistent with surface-to-air fire.
There are no scuffs or bumps or dents that would also indicate, aircraft or birds hitting the aircraft fuselage.
And also the direction of the shrapnel, which looks like it's coming from below and towards the front.
You are being bamboozled. You're being scammed. You don't even realize that you are just a casualty at war. There's a war going on. Multiple wars. They won't tell the people, you know what? American such and such, blue such and such, we're going to stop flights in that area because the risk is too great. There's a war going on. Yes, it might cut our profits, and we may not make as much money as we did last year, but we think that's the best thing we could do to save lives.
Remarkably, Rakhimov was among 29 people who survived the crash. After the bang, I already had my mind set that something bad would happen because it was clear that the plane had received some damage, Rakhimov says. And when the plane started behaving unusually, then it became 100% clear. I realized then that it was all over and decided I should film my final minutes.
You think corporations are going to do that? No. They're going to keep feeding you commercials of vacations over there in Russia, vacation over there in the Caspian Sea, vacations over there in all parts of Europe, all parts of the Middle East. They're going to keep selling you vacations. Oh, you could stay here for $130 a night over here in Bukistan somewhere. Not knowing that next to Bukistan, there's an all-out war.
Has tried hitting back. This April strike using a modified small aircraft blew a hole in the roof of a worker dormitory at Alabuga.
Russia seems to have an endless supply of drones these days, thanks to technology acquired from Iran. A factory east of Moscow is cranking out the Russian version of Iran's Shahid drones, which Tehran has been supplying to Moscow. But as Claire Sebastian reports, Russian engineers are taking the Iranian know-how to a new and deadlier level.
The caption, my mum's reaction when she found out I earn more than her. Cat videos, TikTok memes, all part of a recruitment effort funneling workers into Russia's ever-expanding drone program. The videos are made by Alabuga Polytechnic, a technical college based at the Alabuga Special Economic Zone in southern Russia, the same site identified by the White House last year as Russia's domestic Shahed factory producing Iranian-designed drones. In February, the US slapped sanctions on Alabuga, noting it, quote, exploited underage students from an affiliated polytechnic university as labourers to assemble these attack UAVs. David Albright, a former nuclear weapons inspector, has been tracking Alabuga since 2022.
The only benefit is the high salary, but the males get exemption from military service.
A Ukrainian intelligence officer, only authorized to speak to CNN anonymously, told us those perks come at a cost.
All students involved in the production of these UAVs live at a separate limited access compound. Once employed, they sign NDAs. Their contracts say they produce motorboats.
And yet, as recruitment efforts step up, this video from July allowed the facade to slip. Thinking of starting 10th grade, says the voiceover, join the super elite program, Air Navigation and Drone Programming at Alabuga Polytechnic, and help the Stalin's Falcons. That's a new drone unit in the Russian military. Pause here and you see the distinctive serial number of the Russian-produced Shahed and the unit emblem. In July, Russia fired 422 Shahed or similar drones at Ukraine. By November, it was almost 6 times that, analysis of Air Force reports and official data show. To meet that demand, Shahed production at Alabuga has more than doubled this year, say CNN sources in Ukraine's defense intelligence. And there's a new product. This is the Gerbera, a much cheaper copy of the Shahed, pictured in a video posted in July by the Stalin's Falcons, that same drone unit. For this volunteer air defense unit in Kyiv, it's clear the cheaper copies are fueling bigger attacks.
Now Russia sent every day a lot of drones. More of them are not even with the explosive things. It's just very cheap and very simple drones.
For Yuri Chumak, a serving Supreme Court judge by day, there's no denying the decoys are working.
We cannot detect what it is. You just see that it's drone, so you shall use missile or you shall use machine gun to shut down it.
CNN sources in Ukrainian defense intelligence believe Alabuga will produce up to 10,000 Gerberas this year alone. Analysis of downed drones shows Russia has also adapted the original Shahed, making it tougher, more weatherproof, and in some cases, deadlier. In late October, experts in Kyiv found traces of thermobaric munitions on downed Shaheds.
There were several of them. Their effect is that they're used as incendiary munitions. In a certain radius, they disable all equipment and people.
It's an all-out war. But we just casualties. That's it. We are just a number. You know, remember that little card that they give you, that your parents give you when you turn 16, 18, and they go, you remember this number and never forget it. This number is linked to everything. It's linked to everything. It's called that Social Security number. That's your slave stamp. That's your slave ID. You know, when you go to jail, your Social Security number don't even matter no more. That's just filed away. That's your outside citizens' files. But remember, once you become a felon, you ain't no citizen no more. You ain't no citizen no more. But once you go up behind those walls, they don't care about no Social Security. They give you a new number. It's called 138-456-789-10. 789-10, that's your number. Social Security is a thing of the past for you. For you, it's a thing of a past. Once you start your criminal ways, you will always be a criminal. Why do you think it's so hard to get things expunged? They don't want you to revert back to a citizen. They tell you, nah, you gotta wait 10 years, brother. You gotta at least wait a decade to get your mind right. You walked in the bank with 2 what? Yeah. That's never getting expunged. You walked in the bank with what? You did what? You did what to a whole family? You did what to a woman, like in the park? Yeah. We will never expunge what you got going on. Never. But you know, this is what's going on now. You see Russia. Birds hit the plane. Birds, all of a sudden, Big Bird could fly that high. One person said, yeah, I saw a big yellow bird. It was about 6 feet tall, and it went right into the plane's ocean. All of a sudden, Big Bird could fly. Get out of here. Lying. They lying. It's all cover-ups. They know they did some ultrasonic wave missile and knocked the plane frequency off. Why do you think the plane was going all over the place before it landed? You don't know aerodynamics? At least the basics? The basics. The recent plane right here in North Korea, they already proved that it was a missile. There's a war going on. They expanding their anti-flight zones. We are not in normal times. Everybody before Trump became president, I remember everybody saying, oh yeah, he is gonna press the button as soon as he gets in office. There's gonna be wars everywhere. Come to find out, it was the most peaceful times we ever had in our lives. And the warlords was actually the Biden. Soon as he got in, the war started. 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 10 of them. He was almost at the verge of pressing the button. We had dangerous times. And it's time for everybody to wake up. Wake up. Because the first time in America, one day we will see troops on our land. Thanks for watching. No Joker.
There's a war going on outside, no man is safe from. You could run, but you can't hide forever from